Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down complex ideas by going straight to the source material. Today we're digging into a really fascinating question. When does protecting someone actually become a form of sexism?
So let's just dive right in. Is being protected a form of discrimination? It's a pretty common idea nowadays, right? The notion that treating women as a group that needs to be shielded is, well, prejudiced. But you gotta wonder, is that really the whole story?
In fact, there's a term for this in modern gender studies, benevolent sexism. The theory is that when protection is framed as care, it's actually a kind of subtle way to reinforce stereotypes about female weakness, which in turn props up male authority. But what if that whole interpretation is missing a huge piece of the puzzle?
What if this impulse to protect has a way less to do with gender and a whole lot more to do with status? Let's explore that idea, because we might be getting two very different things mixed up.
Okay, so here's the core argument laid out side by side. On one hand, you've got the common view that protection is basically a gender stereotype in action. But on the other hand, there's a different lens. What if protection is actually just a practical necessity that comes with having high social status? And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? Think about it. Bill Gates' son needs bodyguards. A kid from a poor family doesn't. Do we call that discrimination against the rich kid? No way! We see it for what it is, a totally logical response to the risks that come with that kind of status. It's all about their position. And this isn't some newfangled idea. It's actually been staring us in the face for centuries. If we just look at some of the world's oldest stories, the great myths and epics, we see this pattern over and over again. First up, let's talk about Sita from the epic the Ramayana. She's the wife of Prince Rama, and her story is pretty much defined by her abduction and the massive, epic quest to get her back. So why all the fuss? I mean, why would an entire kingdom go to war to save one person? Well, because it wasn't just about one person. Sita wasn't only a queen. She was also seen as an incarnation of the goddess Lakshmi. She was the living symbol of royal honor. Rescuing her wasn't just a personal mission, it was a political and religious duty to save the kingdom's integrity. It was all about her incredibly high status. We see a really similar dynamic with another legendary queen, Helen of Troy. You know her, the face that launched 1,000 ships. We all know the story. The entire Trojan War was supposedly fought over her. But was it really? When you dig into it, it's way more complicated. Helen wasn't just a person. She was a high-value symbol of her entire city-state. So that war to reclaim her, that was really about national honor, political power, and straight-up geopolitics. She was a political asset, and the entire conflict was just framed around her because of the huge status she represented. And this pattern doesn't just stick to the ancient world. Let's jump forward in time and look at aristocratic literature from all over the globe, where we see this same logic pop up again. Okay. Picture the world of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. Think about ladies like Guinevere. It seems like every other week a knight is vowing to protect a noblewoman or heading off on some grand quest to rescue one, right? But here's the really interesting part when you look at the code of chivalry. Protecting these noble ladies, it wasn't just some nice gentlemanly thing to do. It was literally part of a knight's job description. It was their professional duty. And by doing it, they were showing their loyalty to the king and the entire social hierarchy. The damsel in distress was basically a way for a knight to prove his worth, and it all revolved around her highborn status. Now let's head over to a completely different culture, Heian-era Japan, and the classic The Tale of Genji. And what do we find? The exact same thing. The lives of aristocratic women were incredibly protected, almost sealed off from the world. But in this world, protection was all about ritual and protocol. These noblewomen lived behind screens, their every move dictated by strict courtly rules. And get this, it wasn't seen as oppressive. It was a mark of their elite status, a sign of their refinement. It was just what you did when you were part of that high class. And the pattern continues. Let's look at one of China's greatest novels, Dream of the Red Chamber. The story is all about the rise and fall of the super wealthy and powerful Jia family. And for the women of the Jia clan, life was very much a gilded cage. They lived inside these huge guarded compounds. Everything, their education, their marriages, it was all carefully planned out. And why? It was a direct result of their family's incredible wealth and social standing. This protection was all about upholding the family's honor and prestige. Okay, so we've just done a whirlwind tour of world literature. So what does it all add up to? What's the big takeaway here? How should we think about this stuff? Well, it seems to point to a new way of looking at things, a new lens, if you will. The idea is, before we jump to conclusions and label something as sexism, we need to ask why the protection is happening in the first place. Is it because of someone's status? Is it a gender stereotype? Or is there, an actual immediate threat? We've got to separate the variables to really see what's going on. And this framework isn't just for dusty old books, right? It's a powerful tool we can use to re-examine the stories we see all around us. So the next time you see a character, or even a person, being protected, maybe pause for a second. Ask yourself, is this really about a stereotype? Or is it about status and circumstance? As we've seen today, the answer might be a lot more complicated than you think.